deeply grateful to Mrs. Portowitz and Mrs. Spiro and all of you for inviting me on this great debut meeting of WJX, which is Women's Jewish Experience. And although today we have, let's say, 30, 40 women, I'm sure that eventually that this organization will have 1,000 women, because it has such a great goal and a great ideal. And it's a wonderful thing. Whoever thought about this idea that women should be able to get together, that they should be able to become inspired and grow from each other, and to strengthen their relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and strengthen their relationship with each and every one of us. For those who are going to be listening on video and on CD, we're in Brooklyn, but really this organization is something that should be started all over the world. I want to share with you something very, very interesting. The Torah tells us that on the first day, Vayikra Elikim La'ar Yom, the Eibishter called to light, he called it day. There was evening and day, Yom Echad, day one. So the Meshech Chochmah, Rabbi Meir Simcha, asks a very interesting question. He says, really, it was the first day of many days. And in Hebrew, when you count 1, 2, 3, you say Rishain, Sheni, Shlishi. Why is it Yom Echad? Yom Echad means it's like an Echad or Miyuchad, a very special day, something that's unusual, something that's different. And the Meshech Chochmah says something amazing. He says that that day was very, very special, like no other day ever, until Mashiach. Why? Because the light that the Eibishter created was so strong that you could see from one side of the world to the other side of the world, from one end of the world to the other. But the Eibishter saw that he has to hide that light. He could only have that light for the tzaddikim. So he took away that light, and the light that was the second and the third was never like the first day. That's why it's Yom Echad, Miyuchad, special. And that's what I feel our meeting is today. This is really so special. This is an idea that has been thought about a long time. There were many, many people who came up with this idea. Nobody ever believed that we could bring it to fruition. And now finally, Baruch Hashem, on Rosh Chodesh Kislev, we're here. So this first meeting is something that will never be replicated. It's an excitement because it's here. It's a manifestation, it's a fruition of a creation in somebody's mind. That women should be able to be inspired together, they should be able to grow together. And I think that because Hidabrut is filming this, and this will be all over the world, that many, many WJXs will start all over the world. And you should know it's all your schus. Every single one of you has a schus in this organization by participating today. And no matter what happens around the world, if women will be inspired because of it, then it's partly because that you came here today and gave this its impetus. One of the things when I spoke about the topic to Mrs. Portowitz, we spoke about that women come together. We have to be goal-oriented. It's not just a social event. We want people to become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be able to fulfill their potential in a relaxed, nice, comfortable, inspiring atmosphere. And if that's the idea, then this is an organization of personal growth and reaching goals. And I want to show you something that is so amazing. To me, these type of limudim that Gedolim make from a pasuk, that if I would tell you the pasuk, you would say, what, there's nothing that you can learn from this pasuk. And yet we're going to see in a second how the Chavetz Chaim learned such an important lesson for life from these two psukim. The first one is in Parshas Lech Lecha, and it seems to say something so simple. Vayetzu lalechas arza Canaan. Avram Avinu took his family to go to Canaan. Vayavayo arza Canaan, and he came to Canaan. What could you learn from that? He went to Canaan. His idea was to get to Canaan, and he got there. So the Chavetz Chaim says, hey, wait a second. Let's watch what happened with Terach in the parsha before. Vayikach Terach. Terach took his family. Es Avram Benoi, his son Avram. Ves Loit ben Horam ben Benoi, he took his grandson Loit. Ves Sarai Kalosa, he took his daughter-in-law Sarai. And then Vayetzi Itam Ayur Kazdem Lelechas Arza Canaan. They were going to go to Canaan. You know what happened? Vayavayu at Choron. They came to Choron, Vayesh Risham, and they stopped there. And they never made it to Canaan. So the Chavetz Chaim says, look at that. Avram Avinu had a goal. He wanted to get to Canaan, and he got there. But what happened by Terach? He also wanted to get to Canaan. He never made it. He got diverted, he got distracted, he got derailed, and he didn't make it there. So the Chavetz Chaim tells us a great lesson on this pasuk in Lech Lecha. She'ala Adam leches bedarkei Avram. Each in our own lives, we have to be like Avram Avinu. V'im makabel al atzmoi. If somebody is makabel on himself, leches arza Canaan, you decide you're going to go to Canaan. Muchrachu levoy lahasam. He's got to cut to Canaan. He's got to reach his goal. If you're supposed to go from Brooklyn to Lakewood, you don't stop in Staten Island and then remain in Staten Island. You're not getting to your goal. You made up to go to Lakewood, you got to get there. Or you decide, you know what? Oh, I'll get on the Bayonne Bridge, I'll go to New York. No, that's not. You have a goal, you got to get there. You can't be diverted, you can't be derailed. And I'll tell you something interesting. There's a great book. It's a small book written by a brilliant man from Lakewood. His name is Rabbi Yaakov Reinman. He's written a number of svarim. And he took the speeches of Rabbi Shlomo Freifeld, and he wrote the speeches down for publication. And if you take a look in this book, In Search of Greatness, which is really what each and every one of us should try. We each want to fulfill our potential. And that's how you become great, by fulfilling the potential that the Eibishter gave you. So in there, Rabbi Freifeld tells the story, it's on page 125 if you want to look it up, that the first time, this was in the early 1950s, that he met the Chazon Ish, he was so frightened. He was so in awe of the Chazon Ish, he couldn't even speak. He couldn't say a word. And he just stood there. But the Chazon Ish spoke to him. And listen to what the Chazon Ish told him. Now this is a young man, and he's obviously a Ben Torah, and he's coming to visit the Gadol Hador. And the Chazon Ish tells him that you should know that the Gedolim of previous generations were not geniuses. The Gedolim of many Gedolim in previous generations were not geniuses. Now, I called Rabbi Ryman before I decided to say this in public, because now there are three Gedolim that I'm going to mention. And I said to Rabbi Ryman, did Rabbi Freifeld give these three examples? Or did the Chazon Ish give these three examples? So he said to me when I was listening to the speech that I was going to write down, and I heard it on tape or a cassette from Rabbi Freifeld, I couldn't tell whether it was Rabbi Freifeld's examples or the Chazon Ish. But anyway, each one of them obviously is great. The Chazon Ish, of course, the Gadol Hador, Rabbi Freifeld was a great person. But listen to these three people that we all know. And Rabbi Freifeld tells us they were not geniuses. The Nitziv, Rabbi Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, who wrote a wonderful Sefer Hamek Dover, and he wrote on the She'iltais, and he wrote so many svarim, and it was the Rosh Hashiva Volozhin for so many years. The Nitziv was not a genius. The second one he writes is Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan, the Rav in Kovna. I had the schus to be at the kever of the Nitziv, and also Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan. Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan inspected the Kovna Rav. He was not a genius, but he became the Gadol Hador. And the third one he writes, of course, more your husbands or your sons would know, the Paysach was a very brilliant Talmud Chacham. But he wasn't a genius. He developed and he became brilliant. And I want you to write this down, because these 4 Ds are so important in anything that you want to accomplish, even in building WJX. These are the 4 Ds, how things get done. You have to have the desire. You have to have dedication. You have to have the drive. And you have to have determination. And I add my own D, that's direction. In other words, you have a direction in life. And you want to build an organization. Somebody, whether it was Mrs. Spiro, Mrs. Portowitz, all the others that are listed on the flyer, they had a desire to create this organization. And what did they do? They became dedicated to the idea. They didn't stop. I'm sure their sister-in-law or their cousin said, don't be ridiculous, you'll never get it off the ground. Women are too busy, nobody's coming. But they were determined. And what did they do? They had a drive. A drive to make sure that this thing gets done, and finally the determination. And that's what Rav Freifeld said, these Gedolim, that's what they had. So I remember when I had the schus to be in Volozhin, I told this about the Nitziv, and then when I was by his kever in Warsaw, I told also the same thing. The Nitziv's father-in-law was Rab Itzela Volozhiner. Rab Chaim Volozhin started the first yeshiva. His son, Rabbi Itzela, was the next Rosh Yeshiva. And Rabbi Itzela had a son-in-law, Rab Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin. That's why he's called Netziv. Nun, Tzadik, Yud, Beis. Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin. But Rabbi Itzela Volozhin, his father-in-law, he knows how to learn. He didn't think he was a genius. And one day he comes into his room, he comes into the Netziv's room, and he sees a letter that the Netziv got from Rab David Luria, the Radal. And the Radal was for the Gedolim of his age. And he's writing such praises to the Netziv. And he's writing such deep Divrei Torah. And Rabbi Itzela Volozhin says, oh my goodness, he's writing to my son-in-law. My son-in-law is such a genius. He's such a big Talmud Chacham. Look at these praises that Rab David Luria is giving him. I think I underestimated my son-in-law. But the truth is that he really didn't. Because he wasn't a genius. Either according to Rab Freifeld or according to Chazon Ish. But, as Rab Freifeld said, he had these D's, the desire, the dedication, the drive, and the determination. And when you have those 4 D's, then I add that 5th one, that's the direction. That's how you can get anything accomplished. So anything that you want to do in this organization, if you want to make a seder in a certain sefer that you'll learn every time you get together, or you want to say a certain tefillah, or as you sang Hallel this morning, and you want to elevate the people, anything can be done. You can do anything you want. You know what the Tzidkas HaTzadik says, and I'm such a believer in this. The Tzidkas HaTzadik says there's 3 things you got to believe in. You got to believe in Hashem, you got to believe in Torah, and you got to believe in yourself. Right, you had it. And when you believe in yourself, you can do anything. Don't worry what your mother-in-law thinks. Or your father-in-law, or your sister-in-law, or your baby brother, or your baby sister. They don't really know who you are. You know who you are. And you know what you could accomplish. And, people ask me how I do all the things that I do. One of the reasons is because I had the greatest mother in the world. My mother believed that I could do anything. And you know something? After a while, I believed her. So you think, this book that just came out, Illuminations of the Maggid, you should all buy 10 copies before Hanukkah. So I take a look at the back, and it has all the other books that I've written. And so many times I say to my wife, I'd love to meet this guy. Who is this guy that does all this stuff? Like, you think I believe it? I can't believe it. I just can't. How could it possibly be that this is the 9th Maggid book and my 13th book altogether? Baruch Hashem, 1,000,000 times over. Because if you believe in yourself, and you have that drive, and that desire, and that determination, and a great spouse who does everything in the house, I always say to everybody, people make fun of me. I say, my wife knows where everything is, and I know where she is. And Mrs. Portowitz, if you met my wife, you know it's true, right? You see her daughter, Chaviva. It's the same mold. That's the mold. That's the mold. These capable people. And they're all regular, wonderful people, but they don't get diverted. They don't get derailed. They don't get disrupted. They do what they set out to do. And that's the way you reach a goal. Now, I want to tell you something that is absolutely incredible.